At some point, you stop being able to explain yourself to people who just were not going to understand anyway. The parties, the small talk, the performing, the pretending we're okay when we're just not. Well, you just couldn't do it anymore. The thing you were withdrawing from was the problem. This is the Hermit, and she's got something to say about this. Hi guys, I'm MJ. Welcome to the Arcana Surrender,
a Major Arcana series for people who are learning tarot, for people who are rebuilding their intuition, or doing both. I'm going to be working through all 22 cards of the Major Arcana, one video at a time, using my own deck, the Arcana Surrender Tarot. I made this deck specifically for neurodivergent brains like mine, for people who are late diagnosed, ADHD, ADHD, for highly sensitive folk, burnt out people, or all of it. I made it Major Arcana only on purpose. I do believe the Major Arcana deserves our full attention before we add anything else, especially while learning tarot. The 22 first cards of the tarot, they are the foundation, the archetypes. They're the big themes of a human life. And if you learn them deeply, if we take our time, and if we let them become part of our lives and part of how we think, if they become automatic for us, everything else in tarot opens up. So we're going to be taking our time here, no rushing through, just you, me, and these 22 cards. One video at a time. Subscribe if you want to be here for it. And if you want to read with this deck yourself, the link will be in the description.
The Hermit is card number 9 in the Major Arcana. I want to start with where she is in this version of the Hermit. Because most Hermit cards you'll see are usually set somewhere cold and gray with a solitary figure in the winter. Lantern held up against darkness. That's the traditional image. And I completely understand why it exists. But this is not that Hermit. This Hermit is walking through the Rainbow Mountains in Peru, one of the most visually gorgeous landscapes on Earth. You see it's layered in pink and gold and terracotta and deep blue. And this Hermit's not in the dark. She's not in winter. She's moving through something genuinely gorgeous. And she's doing it alone by choice. We can't see her face, her expression, or even where exactly she's going. She's mid-stride, mid-journey. She's not stuck, not hiding, not wanting for something to end. She's in it. Her cloak's deep navy with gold stars. She carries the night sky with her. She doesn't need external light to navigate. She's wearing her light. The lantern she's holding is gorgeous and warm and lit and everything, but it's almost secondary to the stars she's carrying on her. And directly above her, you'll see the sky is cracking open. Light is breaking through the clouds in the exact line of her face, of her head. Like the landscape itself saying, yes, come over here. You're doing it right. You're going the right way. The story I want to tell about withdrawal, about the hermit, about solitude and recovery, it's not a cold one. It's a warm one. And that's why this card is very warm compared to the traditional hermit. But we can talk about traditional and the traditional meaning a little as well. So in traditional tarot, the hermit is the card of solitude, inner wisdom. They're the seeker who's withdrawn from the world, not as an act of defeat, but as an act of deliberate turning inward. He climbs to the mountain peak, not to escape life, but to see it more clearly. The lantern he carries represents his own light, the accumulated wisdom of lived experience, held up to illuminate the path. The Hermit's card 9, the final single-digit card before the Wheel of Fortune. In numerology, 9 is completion. The Hermit comes after a full cycle of experience and says, okay, now we stop. Now we integrate. Now we go inward and figure out what all of this meant before we take another step forward. When the Hermit shows up upright in a reading, they're usually signaling that it's time to withdraw from external noise and go inward for a bit. Time to trust our own counsel over everybody else's. It's time to be alone with ourselves without making that mean that something's wrong with you. You know? She can also represent a guide, someone who holds a light for others. Not for fun, not because they want to be a guide necessarily, but because they've lived the experience. If the card shows up reversed, it can show up as isolation. That's tipped into like disconnection, solitude. Solitude that started as healing and that kind of hardened into avoidance. Reversed, it can also represent the refusal to go inward at all. You know, like staying frantically busy, surrounded by noise and things to do just because the quiet feels like too much to face. In a spread, the Hermit tends to appear when someone needs permission. Permission to stop, to step back, permission to like prioritize your own inner process over anybody else's process or timeline. The Hermit shows up when the world keeps moving and moving and your head keeps telling you you should be moving with it, but something in you deep down is saying, just wait, not yet. Here's the thing about the Hermit that gets missed in most readings. I think the Hermit is one of the most misunderstood cards in recovery. Because when we pull back and we go quiet, when we cancel plans and we stop replying as fast to people, we decide to spend weekends at home or choose to spend time alone instead of with people, our people often treat that as a big symptom, as evidence that we're getting worse. And sometimes we start to believe them. We start to frame our own withdrawal as failure, as isolation, and something that needs to be corrected and pushed through. And don't get me wrong, isolation shouldn't be forever, and it shouldn't make you feel like shit. So if you're isolating because you're feeling extremely depressed, please talk to people. Okay, this is not what the Hermit is about. She's about the kind of like turning inward that's only possible when you finally stop trying to be everything for everyone long enough to be with yourself and hear yourself. For those of us who are neurospicy or highly sensitive, this card can be particularly loaded. A lot of what looks like withdrawal to others can be regulation. A lot of it can be the nervous system doing what it has needed to do for years and finally being able to do it. For me, the parties were always too loud. And it wasn't because of depression. The parties were just always too loud. The small talk was just draining. The constant social performance was always costing so much more than what I would like to admit, honestly. But I kept going. And I think you did too. Because, well, we were taught that that's what functioning looked like. And then burnout came, and the capacity for it just left. And suddenly, we were living in a way that was just actually closer to what our nervous system had been asking for so long. That wasn't regression. In hindsight, I can see that it's not regression. It's information. Look at where this one hermit's walking. In the Rainbow Mountains. She didn't withdraw into a great cave. She withdrew into something extraordinary. Because that's what real solitude does when you stop fighting it. It's not empty, it's full. And this is what I mean by the difference between being alone because of depression and withdrawing because you need time. This one is full of color and layer, and it's a kind of clarity that only comes from being alone. And it only comes when the noise is gone. The stars on her cloak, she's carrying the night sky with her. She doesn't need anybody else to illuminate her path. The lantern is there, yeah, but the stars are guiding her. This is the thing about hermit energy and recovery. We spend so long, most of our lives, looking for external validation, guidance, and external permission just to be us, that we forget we've been accumulating our own wisdom. Think about it. Every hard thing you survive, every moment of recognizing something before anybody else could name it, every time your body told you something your brain refused to accept, well, that's all in the cloak. You're wearing it. You've been wearing it the whole time, and you're carrying it with you. And the light breaking through the sky above, that's not coincidence. It's the card telling you the direction you're going, the inward direction, the quiet one, the direction everybody else is confused by. The light's there. You're not walking away from something, you're walking towards it. So what does a hermit ask of us in recovery? She's asking us to stop apologizing for needing quiet, to stop treating our capacity for solitude as a social deficit. She wants us to stop measuring our health by how available we are to other people. She wants us to stop measuring our worth by how available we are to other people. She wants us to trust that withdrawal is not the same thing as giving up. Going quiet's not the same as disappearing. And choosing yourself does not mean you're abandoning anybody else. We can't follow her where she's going, but she's not lost. She knows exactly where she is, and so do you. If you have a deck with you, pull out the Hermit and keep it in sight for a few days. And if you have this deck, look at her. Look at the stars on her cloak. Look at the light above her path. And I want you to ask yourself, what am I withdrawing from right now? And am I treating that withdrawal like a problem instead of an answer? Because sometimes, not always, but sometimes, the most important thing you're doing is the thing that looks from the outside like nothing. Sometimes the going quiet is the work. The pulling back can be exactly where you need to be. So what's on your cloak? What wisdom have you been carrying the whole time without recognizing it as wisdom?
That brings us to the end of this card. If it spoke to you, you can subscribe. We're going to go through all 22 Major Arcana cards together. And if you're new here, start from the beginning of the playlist. It's designed to be taken in order. If you want to read with this deck as well, the link for it will be in the description below. Please also drop in the comments what came up for you with this one. I will read every single one.